Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining our virtual dental shadower session. So we want to remind you that for today, we're not going to have any quizzes taking place. All right, so let's get started. We're very fortunate to have a dental student, Teny, for today's session. I'm handing the mic over to you. Feel free to start whenever you want.
Hi everyone, my name is Teny Odaimi. I am an incoming D1 student at the University of Pennsylvania. So I'll be graduating class of 2025. This is my dental Instagram, so feel free to follow for more advice on the dental school application process, studying for the DAT, and just following my dental journey. Here's some background about me and my academic journey. I went to Stevens Institute of Technology for my undergraduate and my graduate degrees. I majored in biomedical engineering for my undergrad with a minor in pure and applied mathematics, and my master's is in management with a concentration in healthcare management. Currently, I am a dental assistant and intern at a private practice in New York City, and once again, we'll be at UPenn in the fall. So first with the DAT, I have a post on this on my page, but I'm just going to go through some of the major key points. I would definitely recommend making a schedule ahead of time. I took the summer to study. So I took about 2 to 3 months of my summer, broke down my study schedule each week, and planned when I was going to take a practice test. So I didn't take practice exams until about after a month and a half of studying. And then from each practice exam, I just found my weaker points and reviewed material for that and then did practice questions. So sort of just tweaking on the knowledge I already had. So yes, solid calendar, solid schedule, and hold yourself accountable to it, because once you see that maybe you're like, oh, I'll just skip today and study tomorrow, you want to treat it like you're taking a course. That being said, if you are going to take a course, I use the DAT Bootcamp. It's an online website course. And I also got the OrgoMan book and practiced a lot of the bio and the chem questions from there. So I don't think that one specific service is better than another, but whichever one you're using, once again, schedule, hold yourself accountable, and have a solid plan. I like to make my studying fun. I'm big on stationery, pens, you name it. So I would take my notes in different colored pens, share my progress with my family. I'm sure your whole family knows that you're applying to a dental school, so make it, a group effort. And then motivation is huge. While your friends might be having the summer of their lives, you might end up being the one studying for 8 hours a day, and that's okay, because you have to think of your long-term goal. My dream was always to attend UPenn, and I would put on my UPenn hoodie, drink out of my UPenn mug, and keep myself at the desk all day, knowing that this is what I want. So I need to stay committed. You are capable. So many people apply and get into dental school every year. So you are just as capable and qualified and brilliant. So don't ever feel like you're anything less. Take breaks, have fun as well. You don't need to be 24 hours in the books. You can do it with a reasonable amount of studying. That's not torture. And yeah, be competitive and know what you want. And remind yourself that this is what you want. So you'll get through it. Okay, so about community service, which it is a really important facet of your application, I believe, because ultimately you're going into the healthcare field and service is your career. So some of my highlights of my community service experiences were through the student organizations that I joined in university. I was in Sigma Delta Tau sorority at my university, and we have several philanthropies that are affiliated with SigDelt, as well as ones that we assisted in Greek life in general. This gave me a lot of exposure to organizing events as well as collaborating with other orgs on campus. And I had a good amount of service every month of every semester. And it was honestly a great time. It really is fun, and there's endless ways that you can give back to your local or community at large. Also several honor societies that I was a part of, and I was president of 2 of them. So I had the opportunity to create my own events and partner with local charities and philanthropies such as the Hoboken, New Jersey homeless shelter or the animal shelter in the local Jersey City area. So really make it your own. Do service for something you're passionate about. It's not really about a resume builder. It's more so figuring out how you can best give back to your community. I'm also a resident assistant, so I would host floor events with my students, and we would do activities and raise money for different causes and clubs as well. I also volunteered at my church, at the Armenian church, and I did my own independent initiatives on the side. So really, community service is an umbrella. You can make it your own. And if you have an idea and you have a group of people interested in the same cause, do something for it and just write it down for your application in the future. Choosing a dental school. So there are several key factors that go into figuring out what you want from a dental school. For me, these were the major points. I cared a lot about the location, so the city, what part of the United States, and where I would be living was another thing. So personally, I'm from New York City, so I like a city feel area. So I applied to schools in Boston, New York, Pennsylvania, California, and those were in turn the schools I did get accepted to. So I also cared about class size. I didn't want a school that was too large or that was too small. That being said, there are some schools that are several hundred person class size and some schools that are only about 40 students. So I like the happy medium. UPenn is 130. So for me, ideal. Campus feel goes along with location. I really appreciate a student-centric sort of campus. So the opportunity to do things outside of your classroom. It's really nice because UPenn has their dental school on their undergraduate and graduate campus shared. So walking through the campus, I'm going to be around students from all different walks of life. So it's going to be pretty exciting. Clinic resources. So it's important to look up what the clinical requirements are for each dental program and to see if you have the opportunity to specialize. Maybe that school has specialty programs that you might be interested in. I'm not sure yet if I want to specialize, but it's nice to know that I have the opportunity to. And also talking to students, that you get a really good feel of what the school is like from talking to current students. And I think that was the most valuable resource. So reach out to students you know or don't know, go to open house events and really just see what makes you feel the most welcome. And now, how did I determine the most important factors? Again, what do you want out of your experience? Do you want to specialize? Do you want to do research, community service? It's up to you. So there are schools for every preference. So here are some of my tips on shadowing. Where do you start? So find a dentist. You can always ask your dentist or someone you know, or just Google dentists in your neighborhood and reach out to them and see who's interested. Make sure you're professional when you ask and be considerate that their schedule is probably really busy. So whatever works for the both of you in the most seamless way should be your schedule. Yeah, so definitely show your professionalism and your skills and tell them that you're basically willing to shadow the amount of appropriate time that works for both of you. While you're shadowing, you really want to pay attention because we can't touch anything when we're shadowing. You're just kind of in the shadows, in the back, observing. And it's really good to ask questions and to even take notes. So after I would shadow, I would go into the break room after each patient and jot down a bunch of notes about the procedure, about the communication between the patient and the doctor, some of the instruments that were used. And again, professionalism is absolutely key. And at the end of your shadowing experience, let's say you're only shadowing for the summer, say thank you, write a nice thank you letter, tell the staff that you worked with how appreciative you were, and make sure you're writing down your experiences because they're going to be important when you're filling out your ADSAS application. ask for recommendation letters. That is also part of the application. It's good to have one from a dentist, and some schools actually require it. So once you are done with your shadowing experience, make sure you follow up with an email requesting the letter. Even if you aren't applying for another year or two, you just want to make it known that you would like a letter. And then reflect on your experience. So you might figure out that this is a specialty that you're interested in if you shadowed a specialist, or it's definitely something you're not into. Shadowing is a learning experience in and of itself. So take advantage of those opportunities. Okay, so once again, this is my Instagram page. I actively post pre-dental advice, things that I'm up to, and feel free to reach out with questions anytime. So I think we're going to move to Q&A now.
So for first of our question is, what was your GPA? What was your GPA like when you applied to school?
So I would say, a non-traditional student because I'm a biomedical engineering major. So for me, my GPA was a 3.7. And I would say for an engineer, I was happy with it. I'm not going to complain. And my master's, my GPA is a 4.0.
Okay, and while studying your master's, how would you say you managed your study and life balance?
So during this, I finished my master's in 1 year. I would say the pandemic definitely threw a wrench into my schedule, but I balance my life very much by depending on my calendar. I make sure in the beginning of each week, I put down my deliverables that are due each week, deadlines, any exams, projects, or things outside of academics. So I truly do live by my calendar. But again, scheduling time for fun, for time with family, these are the things that motivate me to get through the difficult master's curriculum.
So another question we have is, I'm worried about not having good manual dexterity. How would you suggest a way to improve that?
So dental schools like to see that you have explored activities that utilize your manual dexterity skills. If you haven't already tried to explore some of those experiences, I would maybe search up hobbies that that enhance manual dexterity and just pick one up. There is no right or perfect experience. It is what you feel best represents you and that you can learn from. So if you like knitting, or you want to get into knitting, start knitting. If you like to draw or you want to learn how to draw, cooking, anything that uses your hands, pick something that best represents you and work towards developing those skills, and you will develop them.
Okay, so the next question is, what do you think is the most important part of the application process?
Okay, so I'm going to interpret this as DAT score, supplemental essays, interview, that sort of process.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So I think that they are all equally important. I think that applicants can be accepted with all ranges of grades, all ranges of DAT scores, and all kinds of experiences. Speaking from talking to my classmates, my incoming classmates at Penn, we all come from totally different majors, hobbies, extracurriculars, exam scores. Like, no two applicants are the same. And I think that is the coolest part. I would say that getting a safe DAT score is always something good to aim for. So I would say a 20 academic average or above will really solidify your application. And a GPA can always be backed up by your other experiences. So let's say you have a little bit of a lower GPA. If you can prove your work experience, your shadowing hour, and your extracurriculars are stronger than that GPA, you should be a fine applicant.
Okay, so for our next question is, what is something that you might have struggled with during your undergrad or master's?
I think it was a little bit frustrating to be in a major that was so different from pre-dentals. I was taking 21 credits every semester in undergrad, doing a minor, my major, and my master's all at the same time on a varsity team, president of two orgs, in a sorority, an RA, a TA, and my list goes on. So juggling a lot of responsibilities made it really hard for me to just take a few hours to focus just on school or just on pre-dental applications. So I would be overwhelmed. And that's fair. But again, I made time for those experiences because they are just as important to me as going into this career. So yeah, time management definitely was one of the things I worked on the most in my school time. And no one is perfect, and it is a learning experience. So learning how to juggle my responsibilities and perform my best was probably something I worked on the most.
So for our next question, I'm not sure if you can answer this yet, but the question is, what's your class size or what will it be? Do you know?
Yeah. So I mentioned in my presentation, but it's going to be around 130. This is specifically for UPenn. Every school has a different number for the most part.
Okay. So the next question is, how are your classes going to be split up? Do they start clinics in first year? Like, would you happen to know that one?
So I have a general understanding, I believe, but I think there was a new dean at UPenn now, so they might be changing some things around. I know that we start preclinical experience from our first semester. Uh, I don't think we get into like clinic until our fourth semester, so spring of your D2 year. Again, these things are changing. I think they're doing some adjustments at Penn specifically. And again, that's something to look into for the schools that you are applying to. Some schools start clinic at different years. Some are didactic purely for the first 2 years. I know that Penn is really heavy on didactic because they want to prepare you for the board above all. And they do have a strong clinic, but again, can't really speak on the schedule.
Okay, so our next question is, what is something that you're looking forward to most in first year of your dental school?
I am most excited to meet my classmates and just be in a new environment and actually taking classes that are all about this career. So sometimes in your schooling, you're taking classes that are totally irrelevant to your interests or to dental stuff or anything, but I'm excited to actually gain the skills that are needed to become a dentist and to learn along my classmates who are amazing people. And I know I'll learn a lot just from talking to them too. I'm also excited because Penn has a gorgeous dental school and gorgeous clinic and all this stuff that I want to turn myself into and enjoy. Just excited to be around dental things other than shadowing.
So our next question is, how do you deal with loans, like for dental school loans in the future? Do you have any plan for that?
Great question. I really don't know how to answer it at this point. Yeah, it's a work in progress. I'm still working that out personally. So if anyone has any advice for me about that, please feel free to tell me.
So we have another question. As a leader for several organizations, how did you leave your legacy? Do you have a successor?
I I think that I really connected with these organizations over the years in that even as an alumni, they still reach out to me to help out or to come back for events or to feature me for something. And being on the executive board of these orgs, I've set the precedent for how they should run and what our values are. And I feel like they've only ever had people equally as impressive taking over after me. So I genuinely was involved because I love the mission and and they're awesome people. So I will always be in contact with them. If they ever need me for anything, years in the future, I will still be involved. And I'm all about school pride and community, and I plan to do the same in dental school.
So our next question is, what's your goal for dental school?
My goal. So I did mention that I am unsure about specifically if I want to specialize, but my goal is to really strengthen the skills. So the hands-on skills, manual dexterity, like the previous question, and to, ace my classes, get through that, but really get a good grip on preclinic and clinical skills. So if I can do that, which I'm sure myself and everyone else can, I would be happy. That's my goal.
Okay, and the next question is, are you looking to specialize? If so, what are some of the areas that you want to specialize in the future?
So so I don't know if I want to specialize, but what I love about Penn is that they have all the specialties at their institution. So I'm going to have a lot of exposure to clinic in the different specialties. Therefore, if I do end up falling in love with one, I will definitely pursue it. So the doors are open for me. I'm open to it, but at this point, I don't know.
Okay, so our next question is, how did you make the organization work? What's the main thing to focus on when creating a club?
I think every school has a student government, so there's a process you have to go through in creating an organization. Um, the orgs that I was a part of, most of them were established. I only started one of the clubs, and that one I just went through the process through student government. You have to find a faculty mentor, and that's someone is going to sponsor their time to help support your club and find a group of interested students. So I think it's personal to each school in the process of starting a club, but if you do have a vision, I would say go ahead and start your club.
Okay, perfect. So that is all for the questions. Thank you, Teny, for taking the time to talk to us about your dental school application. It is truly appreciated, and I know I learned a lot from your presentation. Again, to our viewers, there will be no quiz posted for today's session. And to Teny, I want to thank you again for today. Everyone, have a great day.
Thank you.